I think there's even a Super Bowl commercial about this. Give your work to AI and then go have a barbecue. And it's just not the reality of what happens. What instead you get is 10x the output. And then it's a different problem where you can have a junior employee producing 10x the output that a senior employee needs to review. And then it's blocked by security practices and like all sorts of working changes that happen that will be reflected in other areas of business.
AI is moving fast, faster than most companies, and honestly, most leaders are prepared for. So the real question isn't whether AI will change your business, it's where it will hit first: sales, operations, engineering, maybe support. And more importantly, how do you actually build a team that thrives in an AI-first world instead of getting disrupted by it? My guest today is Jimmy Hatzell. He's the CEO and co-founder of Hatz AI. And he's focused on exactly that, helping companies hire and build teams that don't just use AI, but operate differently because of it. Now, we're going to talk about why he started Hatz AI, what he saw coming before most people did, and what CEOs should be thinking about right now at this very moment. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so let's go ahead and dig in. Welcome, Jimmy, to the show. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thanks for having me.
God, thanks for taking the time. I can't imagine how busy you are making this world, I don't know, more fun. We're going to dive into that a little bit. But so for the folks maybe meeting you for the first time, you want to maybe just give us the elevator, the quick background, and maybe we're going to dive into this pretty heavy, but maybe what is Hatz in a sentence or two? There's no reason to do it multiple times, so we're gonna dive into Hatz for sure. But tell us a little bit.
Yeah, in simplest terms, I help small and medium-sized businesses use AI at work, and I follow the belief that people need help with AI. So I seek out great partners like Scott to co-deliver that service with, and it's been very effective. Helped thousands and thousands of businesses adopt AI in their day-to-day and use it as a co-intelligence.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's so true. Look, of all the paths you could have traveled, why start an AI company?
That's a good question. So I worked in cyber for a long time. I did some time as a hacker. I worked in the SOC, Security Operations Center company, for a good bit as well. Worked in PAM, Privileged Access Management. And I had always worked with AI over the years working in cyber because it's a big part of cybersecurity and detection and all that. And I kind of saw it as the next thing and started preparing for like what that would be. And I always knew that I wanted to start my own company. As I started out on this journey, planning to get into AI and what does that mean for small businesses and their IT partners and adoption and all of that, ChatGPT kind of happened and the whole world accelerated like 10 years in 25 days. So it's like, that was like, okay, now it's time to really go. Yeah.
It was we leapfrog, right? It was like a big leapfrog. Yeah, I saw that myself. There wasn't like this slow transition into AI.
Yeah. So at that point, it was like I still identified mostly as like a cyber person, even though I had a lot of experience. And then and I'm a very technical person too, but as like I started using AI more and really experimenting and building, I realized like, oh wow, like I actually know like a lot about this stuff. Like I'm very much an expert in the room. It happened quickly, but like I love it. It's a lot of fun.
No, every time I talk to you, you're in a good mood. So that's a wonderful thing. So what was the driving force for building Hatz? I heard you say like, a lot about AI. Was there a particular problem or problems that you saw that needed to be fixed?
I just thought that kind of everyone had it wrong and still has it wrong. I think people believe that everyone is going to magically start using AI every day and build these crazy agents that do lots of things. And people just need help. And with any technology problem that has happened before, like cybersecurity, movement to cloud, all of these sort of things, there's always been this group of people, this group of technology advisors or IT providers or whatever it is that have helped guide businesses through this journey. And I saw a gap there where a lot of people needed to get upskilled in AI very quickly. And a lot of traditionally IT and subsequently cybersecurity and IT companies need to learn AI and be equipped to deliver that for their customers. Mm-hmm. So that's really the gap in the market that I saw. The problem. Both of my parents have small businesses and had small businesses. I worked at them growing up, whether that was cleaning out houses for my mother, who's a real estate agent, or filing papers for my dad, who is a lawyer. I think I've scanned 1 million files over my life. And companies like that, who really are like the backbone of America and the world, if they don't figure out how to adopt AI, they're in a serious position of threat. So to me, it's a lot of fun and I enjoy doing it, but it's also like, how do we help this class of companies, small and medium-sized businesses and their IT providers, really get ready for this as things are just changing at a pace we haven't seen before?
Yeah, so and it's really key. And so to me, when I was researching Hatz and comparing it to even how we used AI internally, we had half a dozen people using Grok, and we had a dozen people using ChatGPT, and we have others that preferred Claude. And it was literally just a free-for-all. We had the policies, we were protected in that regard, but really had no insight. And the other problem was that it was hurting production. It wasn't helping production because we had a strict mandate that in no way can you use those public LLMs with any of our company data. And so I kind of feel like that's a huge thing that you're helping the small to medium-sized businesses with.
Yeah, it's the first technology movement that I've seen or that I've really heard people talk about that's been bottom up instead of top down. You did see it a bit with shadow IT, certainly, but not at this scale. Nobody was ever like, I really prefer this. I went and signed up for this antivirus without anybody else knowing, and I installed it on my machine. Yeah. And people try to treat it too as a top-down thing. Okay, we're gonna figure out the 3 use cases for AI, and then we're going to implement the processes. We're going to make everyone do it. And it turns out the best way is giving people a secure and safe place to use AI and just guiding principles, a bit of training and guidance and access to tools, that sort of thing, but to just figure things out on their own, because there's not a user manual for ChatGPT, and people manage to figure that out. But without these controls in place, or without adopting, what you're left with is people doing it anyway. People uploading things to their personal accounts, like all sorts of problems from that, whether it's training on the data or someone leaving the company with 2 years worth of financial information because they upload the company spreadsheet to their personal ChatGPT account every month to do the reconciliation because it's so much faster.
Exactly. No, that's really cool. Look, I need you to pull out your crystal ball. Did you bring it with you?
Yeah, I got it.
Here we go. It's right here, right? So I normally would ask 3 to 5 years. That's a joke. So when you look out 1 year, maybe 2 years, what parts of a business you think are going to change the most because of AI, sales, marketing? Or how do you see it? I'm sure you have ideas.
Yeah, I run an AI company and a software company, so I get to see the early tailwind of adoption, like the beginning of the curve, because it really hits in these companies, these high-tech companies first. Software engineering has completely changed. There's been more changes in the past 2 months to software engineering than there have been in the previous 10 years or 20 years. It is just insane, the rapid change that's happened in such a short period of time, where you're moving very quickly to a place where most software engineers and at companies where they're using these technologies, and I caveat by saying that because it's not as many companies as people think, are becoming AI reviewers of code and orchestrators and checking things, and they're writing very little code themselves. And there's a couple things that happen. So one, people assume, I think there's even a Super Bowl commercial about this, give your work to AI and then go have a barbecue. And it's just not the reality of what happens. What instead you get is 10x the output. And then it's a different problem where you can have a junior employee producing 10x the output that a senior employee needs to review, and then it's blocked by security practices and like all sorts of working changes that happen that will be reflected in other areas of business. And there's an identity piece of it too. So like what it does to people psychologically when there's something that they've mastered a craft on for say 10 years, 15 years, and all of a sudden someone who's been at it for 1 year or 2 years or 6 months or just picking up a computer for the first time to try to do this can do something very similar. And I think we're going to see that really hit knowledge workers over the next year or two, where people will be able to reconcile those reports, run the discounted cash flow, do a P&L report, things like these, where they generally know what it is, but they haven't done the specifics before. And there will be a lack of expertise on the person actually reviewing the work. And you'll see things where maybe a CFO at a company who has 6 people underneath them, all of a sudden they're getting inundated with things that they need to review and do. And the arbitrage of people being able to have AI do their work and they chill out and do nothing, like that kind of goes away very quickly because everyone like figures out what's happening. And we can take an airplane from point A to point B. We don't get those 40 days at sea back to relax when we get to London. Like, from New York.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that somebody that is, let's say, a knowledge worker or even, I think, development, because if I'm not mistaken, I think ChatGPT was a chat that basically said that the most recent version was coded by AI, like it coded itself?
Yeah, it was. So it's Claude Code.
It was Claude, yes, thanks.
Yeah, Claude Code. And so basically the engineers at Claude Code, and this is common at high-tech companies. I have a lot of peers who either run startups or are senior engineers at big FANG companies. And it's a common thing where engineers are moving away from actually writing line by line of each code and more reviewing, but they're still telling it what to do. It's not like hey, go make this better, and then the AI goes and figures it out. So the estimates today from the model providers is by the end of 2027, we'll reach a point of recursive self-improvement or recursive self-learning, RSL, where the AI models like go and decide that they need to like make themselves better and keep training themselves to get better, which that's when the curve really takes off. But
so between now and then, which is not very long, right? A year and 3 quarters, let's say, an everyday knowledge worker or whatever, is there anything that they can start doing besides playing with AI so that they see a future? Because like you said, AI you're not gonna walk into your office and your work is gonna magically be done. Of course, repeatable processes that can have agents doing them will be. But otherwise, you still have to come in and talk to AI and tell AI what you need done and proof it and run it through a couple of iterations, and then it's done, right?
Yeah. So I think so the first thing is using AI as a co-intelligence. So I think a lot of people jump into, let me set up a 14-step AI workflow and let me just try to do that first. And the more effective is, how do I use like an AI chat as a co-intelligence? And I think we're getting into a place where AI can do longer running tasks. So if you're working on, say, a specific document or something like that, as like your report and state, maybe a month or two ago, you had to feed it text as a version and update the version and then do your research and then whatever, go back and forth and copy and paste. Where like now with the newer models, GPT 5.2, Claude 4.6 Sonnet, Claude 4.6 Opus, Gemini 3.1, you could probably drop in the Word document and then say, go research this, and then cross-reference it with this document, and then edit this document, and then convert it to a PDF and do that for me. And the AI will probably run for 15 minutes and give you that end result. So I think like pushing the boundaries of, can AI do that? What is actually possible is the thing to do to prepare yourself, because building your AI muscles is really the important thing.
Couldn't agree anymore. Yeah. There's still hallucination issues, things like that. So we're still needed. We still need to validate the work.
Of course,
And,
of course, yeah.
I just want to say that. So look, we service that small to medium-sized business, like the 50 to 500 employee, like something in that range, which is the vast majority of businesses out there. So if they want to roll out AI in a much more logical way, what do you think? Is it a top down? Is it get a champion and the champ? How do you suggest that get done?
I think it's top down and bottom up at the same time. And what I mean by that is I've seen over and over with companies where they say, this is our killer AI use case. This is what we want to do and build. And let's say it's like automating some reporting process or something. And they could spend weeks trying to figure that out and trying to do that. But what I've seen also happen is you give AI to all the employees and a little bit of training and guidance on what's allowed, maybe some examples of how to get started, and they'll get to the same place. And it'll be a lot simpler and often better because they're the ones actually clicking the buttons and doing the things and getting moving things along. You need the top down on here's our data classification on what you can do with AI and what you're not allowed to. Here's our approved tool. Here's where you need to watch out. Here's where you need to disclose when AI is used, that kind of stuff. And here's the training that we're enrolling everyone, or here's the thing that we're rolling out to everyone. And maybe even some measurement over time. So things like an employee recognition program, who created the coolest AI use case this month, who saved the most time in ROI, a Teams channel or something where people can share and screenshot and that kind of stuff to encourage people. And making it less of a, you need to do this, and more of a, hey, let's see what we can do. And just let people go. You'd be surprised how far people can get on their own.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yep. I think that's because top down doesn't necessarily know what somebody 3 or 4 layers down has to do, right? They want to make their life easier, right? So if they can come up with a way to use AI to simplify it, would be great. What about in chat? I have no idea how often somebody's using something or what they're doing. Is there tools within things like Hatz that allow us to see how people are using the tools?
Yeah, absolutely. That's without being invasive, right? We wouldn't go and inspect everyone's chats, of course.
Oh, yeah. No. I don't think you can, do you?
No, you can't. You can't.
Because I was asked that question by our HR team.
There's a separate thing we will potentially do for SEC compliance, which is a whole different thing, but we don't need to talk about that. But holding accountability, where we've seen the best adoption in companies isn't we had the most usage with some AI workflow we did. It's the percentage of users who have logged in, had a chat, connected in integration. And so we have some pretty granular reporting on that, and also on training. Training's all built into our product. And this is recommended for any AI product or any means of AI adoption. But the product that we're selling is less, here's this AI as this specific AI thing for you. And it's more, we're selling AI adoption. We're helping companies adopt it holistically. Because if you can get your average employee, or maybe your less technical employee, using AI every day as a co-intelligence and defaulting to AI as they search for things and edit things and knowing how to do it, you're going to get a lot more efficiency gains than whatever 14-step AI workflow you want to do.
Absolutely. No, it's so true. So I know everybody's definitely got the Terminators are coming, right?
Yeah.
You're definitely in the throes of, you can probably see how this stuff can be used, but what does responsible AI look like in plain business terms? And so are there any guardrails that should be put in place at all for the everyday person?
Yeah. One of the things that concerns me the most around AI is how Wild West it is with security outside. We obviously, our platform's secure, we do a lot of vetting, but a lot of these frontier technologies and leading edge technologies that people see, or the Claude bot or whatever, these are developers doing these in experimental environments. And there's people like me who then say, oh, being able to message an AI and have it run in the background is very useful. How can we make that secure? How can we do that? I like these concepts. That's my job. I operate more like a hedge fund manager than anything else. I can place my bets on where the technology is going to go and what's possible. But there's so many MCP servers that have vulnerabilities in them that people want to plug in and use because there's so much business value from it. Pull your, say, if you Googled, I don't know, QuickBooks or something, I guarantee you could find 10 randomly coded by night MCP servers by random people on the internet connecting your AI to QuickBooks. Would I recommend plugging all of those in? No. Like, they need to be properly vetted, secured, all of that. But people want to go and use it. So I think that scares a lot of people too, right? It deters people from using AI because they want to be safe. They want to be secure. They want to feel safe. So that's what we try to deliver. If it's in our platform, like, it's safe and you can use it. So I'd say that from a personal security perspective. From an AI responsibility perspective too, like, I think we have a responsibility to our employees as founders and CEOs and business owners and managers to help navigate them through this huge technology shift. I think it's a mistake for companies who are like, oh, we're going to fire all our employees and replace with AI. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's the right thing to do for people, but I also just don't think it's a good thing for business. Our goal should be to upskill employees and help them in an AI world. So I don't know. And then there's lots of things on safety and security. And what if these models become self-aware and blah, 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 blah. And that's honestly, like, that's the Googles and Anthropics of the world. That's definitely their problem to solve. And we can have a voice in that and an opinion in that. And I don't know. My personal opinion is it's further along than people think in some areas. The models are more capable than people think, but it's also further away than people think on this is going to take over and start controlling my toaster. And I don't think that's happening. But
no, I think we're a little ways out from that. But I really haven't seen any particular industry that's necessarily immune from it until robots are more everyday. But even legal review, like when we get a new partner agreement now, I feed it through AI and go, what are the gotchas in here? What should I be concerned about? And then I'll send it to my attorney and say, hey, this is what AI says. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, they didn't catch this, but the rest of it's legit. So I think all of us will have to upskill or whatever, like you said. I think that's a part of what we need to do as a society. A little side question, though, is that do you see the potential for, let's say, a startup today who's AI first? Oh, maybe Hatz. And so you're like an AI first company. Now, the audience may not know what that term means. So maybe you can kind of explain what that is.
Yeah.
And how do so we're all doing something. So is some person at their home right now just saying, you know what, I'm going to write 50 agents. I'm going to make this all automated, and I'm going to be able to compete like no other against this 25-year-old business. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is definitely a reality. I think some of it's overblown, but when you look at my team's product roadmap or changelog, and like, we ship a lot of features and fixes and et cetera every single week. And like, I have great engineers, right? I have an excellent engineering team and I have an excellent product management team, but we flipped our whole company to be AI first, where it's actually to the point where if we are thinking about a new feature, we aggregate feedback from users, which we get literally hundreds of data points a day across, like, in the product, people leaving feature requests, people sending messages, all that kind of stuff. It goes to a product manager or designer who's less technical, and they actually mock it up with AI of the finished product first. So we start with that before any designs. So
that's your model or whatever.
Yeah. So like an AI, like a designer will make a clickable prototype in the first, like, hack together one in 2 hours. And they will present that to the product managers, the engineers, all of that. And we'll get there. So that would normally take a company to get to a clickable prototype, like, weeks or months. And we'll get there in the first couple hours. And then we'll go and have the designer do the high fidelity designs, which, because of AI, because of component libraries, they can turn around in a day or two, get to an engineer. An engineer can build things a lot more quickly because we've optimized our entire code base to build with AI. We have integrations where if a designer designs something, we know what components to use. We know how we should tell the AI to use those components, all of that. And then we have to go, one thing that's still, like, we do go through a strict security process, review process, but we actually write AI automated scripts where an AI will take a sandbox computer and go test all the code that we do manually, which is wild to watch. Like, we get like videos of it playing and the AI is going and looking for bugs. And we said, go see if you can do this, see if you can break this. And
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I do think that there's a mindset that top down probably does have to bring to their organizations. I know that we've made AI like a top priority, and we're like going and rifling through all of our tools and going through all of our internal developed tools that we've done and go, is this AI forward? Is this AI first? And it's out with the old pretty fast. I think there's some shakeout that still needs to happen. I think, like you said, it's closer than most understand, but it's a little bit further than most believe. And I think, and not much. I'm not saying we got 18 to 24 months. It's not like a huge window, but hey, listen, man. So wrapping up for our listeners, if a CEO is taking AI seriously and they want to do something, let's say next quarter, what are 3 moves? What are 3 things you think you could recommend that would increase their usage of it, but not necessarily create a whole bunch of new risk?
Yeah. So I think 1, use it themselves. I think there's a lot of CEOs who talk about AI theory, and it's about just getting in there and trying to use it yourself. 2, give secure access, and it doesn't have to be Hatz. I'm saying give your team and employees a way that they can use AI and try things for themselves. Don't gate it to a specific team. Don't think, okay, my VP or my COO and a couple people are going to try this. Like, just give it to everyone. And then 3, create a culture of sharing around AI, because there is still that piece of, I've actually been doing this thing with AI for the past year and nobody's known about it. Am I going to get in trouble for telling people? Or I'm scared to tell people that I haven't actually been delivering the work that I said was mine and it was actually Claude's, right? But you have to create that culture of sharing and celebrating the wins. And like, you can't make your team feel like they're using AI to remove themselves from a job. It's we're upskilling together and we're learning together to make us all more skilled employees.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Any advice on gamifying something like this and making it safe, other than, hey, like you said at the very beginning, the person that maybe came up with something that saved the most time gets this, or whatever it is.
One of the things so I think there's 2 things that you can connect AI to that gets highly effective, highly fast. First is your email, your Office 365, like being able to interact with your documents and your email and that kind of stuff. And the second is your CRM. So if you have a sales team, and it's like a known trope that all sales reps hate updating HubSpot or Salesforce with their notes and stuff. But if you let a salesperson do that using AI in a chat, I don't know what it is, maybe not having to click the buttons or whatever, or feeling cool, all of a sudden their notes are like perfect and they're updating it all the time. So I think like a little bit of magic there goes a long way. And then also image generation is like so funny. So getting in the habit of just sending like an AI generated image of like some reference that's an inside joke or something like that, that gets people cracking up and using it. And I don't know, like I think back when a person, like we walked by an indoor koi pond one day, and then one of the guys on my team who loves fishing, somebody generated a picture of him like fishing and catching a giant koi fish that was like the size of a whale, and it just had us all laughing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
These are great ideas, and I know for one, I'm gonna implement. I hope our viewers take it to heart. And so, Jimmy, this has been great. I appreciate your time today. I think your insights have been invaluable. Look forward to seeing. I'd love to do this again, maybe in 9 months or something like that. Oh, Scott, hold on.
Yeah, we might be like inside of a computer brain by that point. Who knows?
Yeah. What's it called? The show on Amazon Prime, Fallout. Have you seen it?
Oh,
yeah. With the brain in the glass jar.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Scott. This has been great.
This is a space that's changing fast, and conversations like this help leaders and teams navigate it with much more clarity. And to everyone listening, if you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe and follow the podcast so you don't miss out on upcoming conversations with leaders shaping the future of technology and security. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, stay safe and one step ahead.